Before we get started with Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell, I just want to let y'all know that a new intro. I've been working on a new intro. The previous intro was decent, but I watched it a few times and I saw something that he did a change. Okay, so here is my new intro for Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. You're gonna like it. Good day, and welcome to another episode of Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. And before we get started, I know I've said this over and over again, but I just want to say thank you to all my subscribers, okay? Thank you. May God bless you all. Thank you for subscribing to Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. Thank you. May God bless you all, okay? All right. With that being said, let's get to it. So, Big Smooth Sam Perkins, we're going to be talking about today, who actually played for one of the teams I'm with, but Sam Perkins was born in New York. He attended Shaker High School. When he became a junior in high school, he actually quit the JV team because his mom was a Jehovah's Witness, and Jehovah's Witnesses are required to put their faith first. And not only that, he could not return to the court because of his grades, and he also skipped a lot of classes too. So, but he eventually returned to the court, averaging 25 points and 16 rebounds per game, and he was being recruited by the top schools in the country. Ended up going to North Carolina. Okay. So he had a relationship with James Worthy that steered him to North Carolina. He had a friendship with James Worthy, who had been there the previous season, I believe in 1980. Yeah. So his freshman season, 1981, Sam Perkins averaged almost 15 points per game, almost 8 rebounds per game, led the ACC in overall field goal percentage. North Carolina was 21-7. On top of that, he averaged nearly 2 blocks a game, and North Carolina was ACC champs. He scored 19 points and had 5 rebounds in his first NCAA tournament game. And North Carolina advanced all the way to the 81 national championship game where they faced Isaiah Thomas, Coach Bobby Knight, rest in peace. And Perkins didn't have a good game. He only had 11 points, 8 rebounds as Indiana took the 81 national championship. So they come back for 1982. North Carolina is absolutely loaded this year. Not only do they have Worthy and Perkins, but they also have MJ, Tariq Black, Matt Doherty, Brad Doherty, okay? Or did Brad Doherty come in the year after? I think he came in the year after, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Okay, so Doherty came in the year after. Overall, Perkins shot 62%. North Carolina was a number one seed all throughout the year. Number one team in the country. Number one seed in the ACC. Or number one seed in the country the entire year. They finished the year at 24-2 and were a number two seed headed into the NCAA tournament. Okay. And Sam Perkins had a pretty good tournament. His best game coming against five Slamma Jamma, Hakeem, Clyde, Larry Mihishow, Benny Anders. He had 25 points on 9 of 11 shooting to go along with 10 rebounds in that game. Okay. And they defeated Houston to play the Hoyas. John Thompson, Sleepy Floyd, Patrick Ewing. He had 10 points and 7 rebounds versus the Georgetown Hoyas. Everybody knows Jordan hit the game-winning shot. Then Fred Brown comes down for Georgetown, throws the ball right to James Worthy. Worthy misses the 2 free throws, but it really doesn't matter. 82 champions North Carolina. And for the season, he averaged 14.3 points and 8 rebounds a game. So, 1983 is when Brad Doherty came in, if my math is correct. Anyway, so for the season, Sam Perkins averaged nearly 17 points and 9.5 rebounds per game, 1.9 blocks per game. This was also the year where the ACC added the 3-point line. They added the 3-point shot. And so Sam Perkins had his best game against the Virginia Cavaliers, Ralph Sampson. Perkins had 36 points and 4 of 4 from the 3-point line. North Carolina was 25-6 on the year, and they were a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, but they ended up getting bounced. And so they come back for 1984, which is Kenny Smith. They now have Kenny Smith to go along with Jordan, Brad Daugherty, Sam Perkins, Kenny Smith. And for 1984, Perkins averaged 17.6 points, 9.5 rebounds, while shooting 65.4% from the field. North Carolina started out the season 16-0. But then Kenny Smith injured his wrist. In spite of that, they eventually ran their streak to 21-0. And were 26-1 and a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, and I believe they got bounced. I believe they got bounced by Duke, if I'm not mistaken. Man, I mean it's fuzzy. Anyway, they were a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, but they got bounced. And Perkins and Jordan actually played on the Olympic team that summer in '84. So the '84 draft, Olajuwon, Bowie, MJ, and Sam Perkins was fourth overall to the Dallas Mavericks. Okay, and he began the season in the starting lineup, but he was replaced by a guy named Kurt Memphis. Kurt Memphis, probably butchered that name, but later on in February, he was put back into the starting lineup, okay? And he played in all 82 games, started 42 of those games, scored in double figures, 45 games, had 6 games of 20 points, 15 double-doubles, first team all rookie. He had, and in his playoff debut against the Portland Trail Blazers, he had 26 points and 13 rebounds on 56% shooting. Okay. Overall for the playoffs, he averaged close to 19 points, close to 13 rebounds a game while shooting 49% from the field. And he followed that up with a career high 19 rebounds in game 2 of the head series against Portland. So he ended his rookie season averaging 11 points, 7.5 rebounds, and a little over a block per game. So 1986 comes, and they acquired James Donaldson from the Clippers. Okay, they still got Dale Ellis, and for this season, Perkins averaged 15.5 points per game, 8.5 rebounds. Had 24 double-doubles, with his best game coming versus the Rockets when he scored 31 points on 11 of 16 shooting to go along with 20 rebounds. Okay. Not only that, he also averaged 1.2 blocks during the season too. Okay. Averaged almost about 15 points a game in the playoffs to go along with 8.3 rebounds and half a block per game. They did make it to the Western Conference semifinals against the Lakers. Lakers won the first 2. Dallas won game 3 on a game-winning shot by Derek Harper. Harper hit a game-winning 3. And so game 4 was another close game. They got the ball into Kareem, but he missed his sky hook. Series was tied at 2. But then the Lakers won the last 2. Okay. They also had deadlift. The Mavericks also added deadlift shrimp the year before. Okay. In the '85 draft, added deadlift shrimp in the '85 draft. So they added Roy Tarpley in the '86 draft. Okay, but Tarpley was behind Sam Perkins. Okay, and they let go of Dale Ellis. He went to Seattle. Okay, and in 1987, all 5 of the Dallas Mavericks starters scored in double figures, and they went 55 and 27. Okay, and excuse me. They went 55 and 27 as Perkins averaged 14.8 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 1 block per game. Perkins scored 17 points per game, 8.5 rebounds per game in the playoffs. But despite that, it seemed like Dale Ellis had a vendetta against the Dallas Mavericks for letting him go. Okay, because despite the fact that the Sonics were 39-43 in 1987, Ellis was a man on a mission in his series. He averaged 29.5 points, 8 rebounds per game while shooting 55%, as Dallas got kicked out 3-1. Okay. And after the season, Dick Motta resigned and John McLeod took over for the 1988 season. So the Mavericks go 53-29 in 1988. Roy Tarpley was named the NBA's best sixth man. You still had Derek Harper, still had Rolando Blackman, still had Mark Aguirre, still had Detlef Shrimp. You still had that old Wiley veteran and Brad Davis, who had been there since the start of the Dallas Mavericks. And you also had Bill Whittington sitting at the end of the bench. And I'm going to try to name them all now. UA Blob from Germany. They had him on the squad too. Nonetheless, they finished 53-29. Perkins averaged 13.5 points per game, 6.5 rebounds per game, and 1 block per game. No. Scratch that. For the season, he averaged 14 points per game, 8 rebounds per game, and 1.5 blocks per game for the season. His playoff numbers were 13.5 points, 6.5 rebounds per game, and 1 block per game. Okay. And one of his best games in the playoffs was Game 6 of the Western Conference semifinals versus the Denver Nuggets in the closeout game, because Mark Aguirre got into foul trouble in that game, scored only 4 points. And so Roy Tarpley was also presented with the Best Sixth Man of the Year award before the game started. So the closeout game in Game 6 versus the Nuggets, he had 23 points on 8 of 12 shooting with 11 rebounds and 3 blocks. Okay. And of course the Mavericks go to the Western Conference Finals versus the Lakers, losing 7. Okay. So they come back for 88-89. Okay. 88-89 season. They started out the season 17-10. Okay. Then Roy Tarpley was suspended for drug use. And then they were 26-21 at the time that they traded Mark Aguirre for Adrian Dantley. Okay. So they were 26-21 when they made the Dantley trade. But they will end up going only 12-23. Okay. They ended the season going 12-23, which included a 12-game losing streak. And they ended up finishing the season at 38-44. Okay. So for the season, Perkins averaged 15 points per game, close to 9 rebounds per game, and 1.5 blocks per game. Okay. So what am I looking for here? So let me see something real quick. see something. Okay, so I originally thought that John McLeod got dismissed early in the 88-89 season. I thought they let go of John McLeod early in the 88-89 season, but they let go of him early in the 99-91. 99-91. You big dummy. They let go of John McLeod early in the 89-90 season when the Mavericks started 5-6. Then Richie Adubato took over. Then they proceeded to go 42-29 the rest of the way. Okay. But there was more trouble that season as Tarpley got a DUI early in the year and was suspended for 2 months, played in only 45 games. Then Adrian Dantley broke his fibula and played only 45 games. But Perkins, for the season, averaged close to 16 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 1 block per game. And he had his career high, 45 points against the Golden State Warriors, 45 points on 19 of 26 shooting, with 13 rebounds and 7 assists. As the Mavericks went 47-35, made it back to the playoffs, quickly got kicked out by the Blazers, 3-9. Okay. And so Perkins was a free agent after the 1990 season. Okay. And so I guess when you have Roy Tarpley coming back, it made sense to let Sam Perkins walk. Not really. He got injured. He got injured and missed some time. Also failed another drug test. So he ended up playing in only 5 games for 1990-91. Roy Tarpley did. Okay. But Perkins signed a 6-year, $19 million deal with the Lakers for the 90-91 season, which is the first season of the NBA on NBC. Just had to get that in there. But the very first game on the NBA on NBC was Sam Perkins' Lakers debut when they played the Spurs in Hemisphere Arena. That was the very first game for the NBA on NBC. Okay. So, Perkins looked pretty good, scoring 22 points and 10 rebounds in his first game with the Lakers. Okay. And so, Perkins could shoot a 3, but he took more threes this year than he ever did. He took 64 threes with the Lakers this year. Okay. So for the season, he averaged 13.5 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 1.1 blocks per game. Okay. And he didn't start the season. Sam Perkins was not the starter early in the year. AC Green was. So AC Green was starting in front of Sam Perkins, but Dunleavy made a switch when AC Green went to the bench. And then he inserted Perkins into the starting lineup. And okay. AC Green was the 6th man. Perkins got inserted to the lineup. Oh yeah, I knew what I was going to say. I said the other day that it wasn't right that centers were shooting 3-point shots. Well, I made a mistake on my part. Okay, because yesterday it all of a sudden it just came to me. Manute Bol shot the 3. and he could shoot it pretty decently. Bill Laimbeer could hit a three. And that season, Mike Dunleavy told not only Sam Perkins to work on his 3-point shot, but he also told Vlade Divac to work on his 3-point shot. Okay, so I was wrong. Okay, I was wrong. Some centers shot threes. Okay, Manute Bol can make a three or two. Bill Laimbeer could hit the three, and Vlade Divac could hit at least 1 3. Okay, so for the playoffs, he averaged 17.7 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, 1.4 blocks per game, while shooting 55%. Sam Perkins. And he actually had 2 game winners, okay? In the Western Conference Finals, game 1 against Portland, when the Lakers were trying to milk the clock, but the shot clock was running down. And they got the ball to Perkins with 1 second left on the clock, and he dunked it before the shot clock had expired, which proved to be the game winner, okay? He also hit the game winner against the Bulls in game 1 of the 91 finals. Okay. He hit the game winner. Not only that, he shot 64% against Golden State in the second round. And he shot 55% against the Houston Rockets in the first round. Okay. But after he hit the game winner in game 1, he kind of struggled. As the Bulls won 4 straight. His worst game coming in game 4 when he shot 1 of 15 for only 3 points. Okay. So 1992, Magic retires. The Lakers acquired Sedale 3, but Worthy had injuries. Vlade Divac had injuries. And Sam Perkins had injuries. Still played in 63 games, but had knee and shoulder injuries. And he wouldn't play in the NBA playoffs, as the Lakers pretty much got brushed aside by Portland 3-1 for the season. 16.5 points, 8.8 rebounds per game. So the 93 season comes. Perkins, 14.5 points per game, 7.5 rebounds with the Lakers for 49 games. Okay. Then he was traded to the Sonics for Benoit Benjamin and Doug Christie. Okay. Perkins was a pretty solid defensive player. Okay. So with the Lakers, when he was with the Lakers, they were 26 and 23. They were giving up 103 points per game while holding opponents to 47.1%. But when they traded Perkins, they went 13 and 20. They were giving up 109 points per game while allowing opponents to shoot 52% from the field. Okay. So, hold up. Okay. Okay, sure. Okay. Yeah, so he actually shot 45% from 3 with the Sonics after the trade. Okay. And for the season, he averaged 13 points, 6 rebounds. No. Scratch that. His playoffs averages were 13 points and around 6 rebounds per game. Okay. The Sonics advanced all the way to the Western Conference Finals. His best game, Sam Perkins' best game, was against the Jazz, a clincher in the first round. He had 20 points and 13 rebounds in Game 5 clincher. Then had another good game in the clinching game versus the Rockets. 23 points, 9 rebounds on 10 of 13 shooting. Okay. And for the season, 14 and a half points, 7 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks per game. And so Sam Perkins went from starter to sixth man. Of course, the Sonics had Peyton, Kemp, Kendall Gill, Ricky Pierce, Michael Cage, Detlef Shrimp, who they acquired in the offseason for Derek McKee. But Perkins took 273s this year. And he would alternate between being a starter and the sixth man. He was shooting 37% from three. For the season, he averaged 12 points, 4.5 rebounds, 1.5 blocks per game. But in the playoffs, he would only average 10 points and 7.5 rebounds per game. As the Sonics lost to the Nuggets, first one seed to lose to an 8. Perkins had one of his worst games in Game 4 when he had 0 points on 0 for 7 shooting in Game 4. They come back for 995. Perkins takes 300 threes, hitting them at a 40% clip, averaging 12.7 points, 5 rebounds, and half a block per game. For the playoffs, he averaged 13.5 points, close to 8 rebounds, 1.3 blocks per game, but the Lakers kicked him out 3 games to 1. 1996, they finally break through. For the season, he averages close to 12 points per game, shot 363s, hitting them at a 36% clip. He averaged close to 12 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 1.5 blocks. Made it all the way to the NBA Finals. His playoff numbers, 12.5 points, 4.5 rebounds while shooting 37% from 3. For 1997, he was the only non-starter to average double figures in the league. No. The only non-starter to average double figures on the Sonics. Okay. So, shot 40% from a 3. For the season, he had averages of 11 points, close to 4 rebounds per game, and half a block per game. He did hit 8 threes in a game against Toronto without a miss. Before the playoffs, he only averaged about 8.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, while shooting 33% from 3. 1998, Sean Kemp is gone. But season low for Perkins in points. 7.2 points per game, 3 rebounds per game, 1.5 blocks per game. Still shot 39% from 3. The Sonics made it to the second round where they were eliminated by the Lakers. For the playoffs, he only averaged 5.5 points, 3 rebounds while shooting 42% from 3. 1999, gets traded to the Pacers. He was in the rotation, but he wasn't seeing much action. But he averaged 5 points per game, 3 rebounds, and 1.5 blocks per game. For the playoffs, 4.1 points per game, 1.9 rebounds per game, while shooting almost an insane 46% from 3. Okay. Pacers were eliminated by the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. 2000, 40% from 3, 6.5 points, 3.5 rebounds, 1 block per game for the playoffs. 5 points per game, 3.5 rebounds per game. And actually, he actually hit a I believe he hit a 3-pointer in game 3. Yeah, he hit a game 3. Lakers had a 3-point lead in game 3 of the NBA Finals, and he actually hit a 3-pointer to tie the game. Okay, so a youth movement was taking place in Indiana. They had recently acquired Jermaine O'Neal, but he'll still hard. Sam Perkins still started a handful of the games that season. He averaged close to 4 points per game, 2.5 rebounds per game, and 0.3 blocks per game. Okay, and after that, the career of Big Smooth was finished. Retired after the season, and so it's just unfortunate he didn't win the championship. But he was easygoing, a good defender, could shoot the three, and could also drive to the basket too. So, Big Smooth, salute to you, Sam Perkins. All right, that's it, and that's all for Throwing It Back with Sean Farrell. I am Sean Farrell. God bless you all. Peace.